Have you ever woken up and just asked yourself, is this my life, or is it just some perfectly staged play? For Michael Carter, it started with a simpler question. Why did the sleeping pill my wife gave me have no label? For 20 years, I gave Emily my $10 million empire and my entire heart. She paid me back with a twisted plot to take everything. The company, the assets, and a $1 million life insurance policy. Our bedroom wasn't a sanctuary anymore. It was a silent execution chamber, but the real shock wasn't the lies. It was the moment I accidentally saw one cold, calculated text message on her phone, increased dose, must be done by tomorrow. The journey of faking the meds, installing hidden cameras, and secretly turning the tables, it's going to leave you breathless. Trust me, you'll never look at a bedroom nightlight the same way again. If you've ever felt that tiny flicker of doubt in your gut, hit subscribe now. Let's uncover the truth and learn how to protect yourself. Comment, I stand with Michael, to give him the power to fight for justice and realize you are not alone. Do you ever wonder if the person you trust the most is plotting against you? For Michael, it stopped being a wonder. It became a daily, terrifying fear. My body, this machine that ran a $10 million empire, was failing. Mysteriously. It all blew up when I collapsed at the Carter Enterprises office. My hands were shaking. I was dizzy, right there surrounded by blueprints for the Seattle Port Project. My assistant, Jake Miller, rushed me to the ER. He called my trusted family doctor of 10 years, Dr. Robert Hayes. During those days at Swedish Medical Center First Hill, Emily constantly pushed me to rest. She controlled the schedules, the medical files, but I caught her. She'd sneak out to take calls, clutching my charts. Her eyes darted away when she came back. And that's when the self-doubt kicked in, unconsciously. Am I crazy? Am I being unfair to her? It tortured me. That's textbook sophisticated gaslighting, the traitor making the victim question their own reality. If you've been there, you know that confusion is soul-crushing. Just 6 months earlier, my life in Seattle was bright, lit up like Climate Pledge Arena. As CEO of the multi-million-dollar construction company, I was proud to run massive projects. My brain was sharp, tearing through technical blueprints like it was nothing. Weekends, Emily and I hiked Mount Rainier National Park. We stood on the Space Needle, watching the city glow. We felt free. Totally free now? Every day was a fight I was losing. Contracts blurred on my screen. I started screwing up. Mixing up a contractor's name on a Zoom call. Missing critical emails. The judging stares from my team. The whispers in the boardroom. My stomach twisted. I was terrified the board would call me out. Walking into our modern Madison Park home, the big glass windows reflecting the red sunset over Elliott Bay, I found zero comfort. A crushing wave of fatigue hit me the second I walked in. Simple things like grabbing a beer from the fridge felt like lifting a truck. After dinner, Emily, my wife of 20 years, the one who gave me that shimmering anniversary Rolex, placed a tiny, unlabeled bottle in front of me. "Take this, honey," she said, sweet as sugar. "Dr. Patel sent this new bottle to help you recover. Don't worry about it." I couldn't deny it. I was wiped out, especially after that TIA last month. But something about that pill bottle was wrong. A creeping anxiety. I noticed her eyes flicked away every time she handed me the meds. I started a journal. 1 week, post-TIA. Constant fatigue. Confusion. Emily holds the files. Unlabeled pill. Every night after swallowing it, a violent sleep would hit me, like being dragged into a deep abyss. I'd stumble upstairs, eyes blurry, just crashing into bed, sinking into a void. If it was just sleep, I'd blame the stress. But then the weird dreams started. Shadows, mumbling voices, a gripping fear. Every morning my head throbbed. I had a vague sense something huge had been stolen in the night. Then one night, the moment of truth. Emily was in the shower. Her phone lit up on the nightstand. One text message flashed across the screen. My heart stopped dead. The words were short. Ice cold, increased dose, must be done by tomorrow. In that instant, all the pieces, the exhaustion, the lies, the avoiding eyes, snapped into one single, cruel truth. This wasn't suspicion anymore. This was a death sentence. If you've ever had to question a loved one, share your story below and let's unlock Michael's secret together. Beneath the crushing exhaustion, my mind was pure fog, like a bad hangover that never lifted.
I was forgetful, distracted. And Emily, my dedicated wife?
She was strangely, chillingly indifferent to my whole collapse. But it wasn't just my health I was losing. It was my entire $10 million empire. Every contractor name I missed, every lapse in focus. I was essentially handing Emily and Mark the proof they needed, that Michael Carter wasn't fit to run the company anymore. Could I snap out of it before they stripped me of everything? Or was she playing dumb? Emily's routine never changed. The unlabeled pill bottle every night, the gentle questions about work, the soft reassurances. But I started seeing cracks in the perfect veneer. Her smile, which used to be my comfort, like a perfect Madison Park backyard BBQ, now looked totally rehearsed. Her eyes would flash with a quick tension she'd immediately hide with a practiced wink. Then came the erratic outbursts over small stuff. Coffee mugs left on the counter. A text message I replied to a few minutes late. It shocked me. She'd explode, then quickly apologize, blaming the stress of her interior design work. 6 months ago, I was running laps around Green Lake with her, catching a Seattle Storm game, or staring at the gorgeous glass art at Chihuly Garden. But I kept thinking back to 3 years ago, when she lost the baby. When I tried to talk about my worsening condition, the fatigue, the brain fog, the weird heart rate spikes on my smartwatch, Emily shut me down. Her voice was soft but firm. "You're just working too hard, honey." She pulled me into a hug that felt suffocating, like the air right before a heavy Queen Anne storm.
How about Orcas Island? A week away from Seattle will reset you. But my gut, that instinct that was once sharp as the wind off Elliot. They screamed this wasn't just
Stress, Dr. Hayes said my TIA should recover. Fast, with light exercise, Dr. Patel said my symptoms were normal. The suspicion kept crashing over me like the waves at Alki Beach. One night, when Emily handed me the unlabeled pill bottle, a shock of panic hit me. I stared at the capsule, shimmering under the kitchen light like a dark omen. A terrifying thought flashed. Was Emily trying to poison me? Was she intentionally wearing me down? The idea felt crazy, unbelievable. Emily, my wife, my confidant, the woman who sobbed after we lost our child. How could she betray me? But the doubt clung to me like the restaurant lights of Canlis on a misty night. At a local coffee spot near Pike Place, I finally spilled the beans to Jake. The constant exhaustion, the blackouts, the $10,000 transaction, the feeling that I was disappearing. I checked my company accounts again. I found another $50,000 transferred offshore. It matched the time Emily had snuck off to check her phone.
I suspected Mark was behind it.
He'd mentioned connections in Macau before. I scribbled it all in my journal. 10K, 50K offshore, Emily checking phone.
What do you think I was up against?
Share your guess in the comments and let's unravel this mystery. Jake Miller showed up at the Madison Park house. He brought the financial reports, but mostly he was checking on my health. Seeing how pale I looked, Jake frowned, stirring his coffee.
You still seeing Dr. Hayes? He asked.
His voice was professional, but I heard the worry. Or are you on some new meds? I told him about Emily's nightly ritual, the unlabeled bottle. Just a pill Dr. Patel prescribed, I said. Emily told me Dr. Hayes moved to Portland, so she's handling the meds now. Jake's face went stiff. His brown eyes instantly flared with suspicion.
Dr. Hayes moved? I just saw him 2 days ago at Swedish Medical Center First Hill. He even asked how you were doing.
I just shrugged, totally confused. Emily said he moved. She handles everything. Jake leaned in close, his voice low and urgent. If the symptoms aren't going away, you need to get that pill tested. Could be the wrong dosage or
something else.
Just be careful, Michael. Back then I thought Jake was just being overly cautious. But now, with my suspicions boiling over, his words screamed in my head like the emergency sirens over Elliott Bay. I had to call him. My hand was shaking as I dialed his number from my quiet office during lunch. "Jake, it's me," I said. I tried to sound steady, but my voice cracked. "I need your advice, man. This is an emergency. What's going on?" Jake's voice was instantly guarded. "Are you okay?" I hesitated. Then I let the whole nightmare spill out. The paralyzing fatigue, the brain fog, the bizarre 10K and 50K offshore wire transfers, the office camera that got disabled, maybe Emily or Mark hired a hacker, and the horrifying possibility that Emily lied about Dr. Hayes and was swapping my pills. Jake listened without interrupting. His silence was heavy with dread. When I finished, Jake spoke carefully. His tone was calm but seriously grave.
"Michael, I won't sugarcoat this.
Your symptoms sound exactly like sedatives or some depressant. Certain pills taken regularly cause chronic fatigue, bad memory, even disorientation. They can be dissolved easily and put into a capsule."
"Zero trace," I choked.
My heart was pounding like crazy. "Are you saying Emily could be poisoning me?"
"I can't say for sure," Jake replied, weighing his words.
"But you have to find out. Stop taking the pill for a few days. See how you feel. Or better yet, fake it. Pocket the pill, pretend to swallow when she's not looking. Test it with Dr. Hayes." I thanked Jake. My head was spinning when I hung up. I immediately called Dr. Hayes. His voice rang out. "I'm still right here in Seattle." "Who told you I moved?"
Shock. I realized Emily had lied.
The betrayal felt like a literal knife twisting in my gut. But I couldn't dismiss the evidence anymore. The symptoms, the abnormal wire transfers, the Dr. Hayes lie, the unlabeled pill.
I was determined to get the truth, no matter how painful.
And I was going to fight for that truth with my life. Tonight, in this very house, I was placing my first deadly bet. That evening, Emily prepared the meds with her usual practiced care. I watched her like a hawk. Her movements felt deliberate, almost staged. Her sweetness now felt like a fake shell. It gave me the chills. "Here, honey," she said, sliding the bottle across the kitchen counter. The glass clinked the wood. "Take it. You look totally wiped out." I took the bottle. My fingers touched the cool glass. My senses were screaming. The pill had no smell, but under the light, I spotted an abnormal fine layer of powder, barely visible but undeniable. Jake's sedative warning flashed. I quickly palmed the pill, took a swig of water to trick her. Jake ran the sample to Dr. Hayes, who sent it for lab testing. 2 days later, the results confirmed it: pseudoephedrine and a mild sedative. Shocked, I called Sarah Mitchell, my old law school friend. We met at the crumpet shop in Pike Place Market. Her advice was cold, hard fact. Keep faking the pills, install mini cameras, deep dive into the company accounts. You need undeniable proof. Did you ever find a dark secret hiding inside your own home? And how do you pull off a secret plan when the enemy sleeps right next to you? From this moment on, Michael had to turn his bed into a battlefield, accepting the risk of being exposed at any second because the price of truth was his own life. The idea of how the drug could be packed into a capsule, leaving no trace, sent shivers down my spine. "Thanks," I said, forcing a mask of a smile. "I'll take it right now." Emily sat across from me. Her eyes were strangely sharp, like she was waiting for me to swallow. Cold sweat broke out everywhere. My pulse was pounding in my ears. This is it, I thought. I had to be rock solid. I got up from the table, walking toward the living room window, holding the pill bottle like I was examining it. The city lights sparkled over Elliott Bay, a jarring contrast to the darkness creeping into our Madison Park home. I pretended to swallow one pill, smoothly tucking it into my shirt pocket. It hit the fabric with a soft thud. I checked my smartwatch. Heart rate steady. I felt totally focused despite the tension. After another fake swallow, I carefully placed the empty bottle back on the table, trying to look casual. That's when Emily suddenly stood up. "Let me put the pills away for you, honey," she said, reaching for the bottle. I froze. My heart
Hammered in my chest. The pill I just pocketed was practically in her sightline.
In a split second, I faked a violent cough, accidentally knocking a napkin onto the floor, and bent down to pick it up, hiding my absolute panic. Emily paused. She stared at me for a beat, then backed off. "The pills tasted kind of weird tonight," I said, wrinkling my nose slightly to gauge her reaction. "Must just be me." Emily's posture stiffened. Her smile flickered for an instant before she snapped back to normal. "Oh, maybe I grabbed the wrong bottle," she said, sounding way too casual. "Maybe," I replied, covering a fake yawn to sell the act. "I think I need to hit the sack early tonight." I stood up, exaggerating a slight wobble to complete the performance, and slowly walked toward my study. My bare feet were freezing on the wood floor. I remember thinking about the glittering glass art we used to admire at Chihuly Garden. Emily watched me. A flash of unease crossed her calm expression. I crashed onto the sofa, pulling the blanket up. I focused on slowing my breathing, mimicking the drugged stupor I'd experienced for so many nights. My heart thumped as I felt Emily standing at the door, her shadow stretched long in the hallway light. After a beat, she walked in. Her steps were soft but deliberate. She leaned down, her warm breath hitting my cheek, and gently shook my shoulder. "Michael," she whispered, barely audible, "are you asleep?" I lay still, breathing deep and evenly. My body went limp, even though adrenaline was spiking. Satisfied, Emily backed away, pulling the door shut softly behind her. I lay motionless, every nerve straining to catch a sound. It was only when her footsteps faded that I dared to breathe. Cold sweat covered me. In that terrifying solitude, a gut-wrenching question surfaced. Was the real enemy the woman out there, or the utter despair and fear of betrayal eating away at my heart? I didn't know whether to trust the sharp cynicism
Of my brain or the brief despair I thought I saw in her eyes.
I heard a chair creak, the rustle of papers, and then a long, nerve-wracking silence. After a few agonizing minutes, certain Emily was busy, I slipped off the sofa. My bare feet were ice-cold on the floor. I crept to my study. I peered around the corner, holding my breath. I pulled the USB drive from my pocket, ready to plug it in and copy the critical files. Sudden footsteps echoed down the hallway. I frantically ripped the USB out and pressed myself into the darkest corner. My heart hammered like a drum. The figure passed. Thank God it was just the furnace kicking on. I let out a silent sigh of relief, but I knew my time was running out. Emily was sitting at my computer. The screen cast harsh, flickering shadows on her face, highlighting her tension. She typed fast, scrolling through documents. Through the mini camera I had hidden behind a Seattle shipyard model, I eavesdropped on her signal call with Mark Thompson. Emily whispered, "We need to increase the dosage. Michael needs a serious collapse, but we have to be careful not to look suspicious right away." Mark replied, "Get ready to transfer the 30% company shares over to my name. When he's gone, it will be smooth sailing." Mark was using his CFO role to prepare fake documents, bypassing the board. I watched her snap photos of my passport, tax reports and will, carefully saving them on her phone. Through a separate company camera, I saw the system had been disabled, confirming my suspicion that Emily or Mark had hired a hacker. I immediately sent the video to Sarah Mitchell. I logged it in my journal. Day 1 of the plan. Emily searches computer, plotting increased dosage, 30% share transfer, stealing personal documents. Have you ever felt utterly violated in your own home?
I felt ice-cold watching the minicam.
Emily was copying company files to a USB, snapping photos of the Seattle port contract, and printing docs into a black portfolio case. Her movements were fast, efficient, like this wasn't her first time betraying my trust. I remembered the sparkling anniversary watch she gave me. That love was just a total lie. She logged into the corporate bank account, moving funds with a familiarity that made my stomach clench. I watched her snap pictures of tax reports, business licenses, and a stock transfer agreement. When she printed the document to transfer 30% of my company shares into her name, I almost collapsed. This wasn't just betrayal. This was calculated sabotage. Then it hit me like a freight train. This all started with the heartbreak 3 years ago when we lost the baby. While Emily was at her lowest, Mark, the CFO,
Had been using those counseling sessions to slowly manipulate her.
turning her into his dependent pawn. My worst fear was confirmed. Emily wasn't just hiding it. She was orchestrating pure evil. She was robbing me blind while I faked sleeping. Why, money?
Ambition, the plot with Mark Thompson to take over my company.
I memorized every detail, the file names, the documents she photographed, the case she tucked into her bag. When she was done, she glanced around the room, eyes darting, like she could sense me watching. She silently walked back to the bedroom, her eyes lingering on the photo of us standing on the Space Needle. I scrambled back under the covers.
Faking the deep sleep, my heart pounding so hard, I was terrified she could hear it. I felt her standing over me.
Her breath hitched. A single, scorching hot tear dropped right onto my cheek. Her hand brushed my hair as she whispered, "Sleep tight, my love. Everything is under control." That once sweet voice now sounded menacing, laced with a strange sorrow.
It filled me with pure disgust.
I waited until I heard Emily's faint snoring from the living room sofa, the low hum of the TV covering my movements. The second night I kept faking. I gripped the blanket to hide my tension as Emily checked on me. The next morning, she hugged me, crying, apologizing for minor financial mistakes in the company account. She said she just wanted to reduce my stress.
I almost believed her.
But the minicam recorded the signal call later that night. Emily and Mark plotting to increase the dosage, so Michael won't last much longer. Mark ordered her, forged the signature to transfer the 30% shares to my name. I almost dropped the pen when checking the camera. Praying she hadn't heard me, on the third day, Emily suddenly presented a $1 million life insurance policy based on the fake medical records she prepared. She begged me to sign it for our family's future. I pretended to agree. I secretly recorded the whole conversation with my hidden phone. Later, I found the insurance contract and the forged transfer papers she carelessly left on the desk. I lay awake, my mind spinning, fitting together the puzzle pieces of the ultimate betrayal. The next morning, after Emily left for work, I called Sarah Mitchell from the safety of my office. My voice was breaking with urgency.
You were right, I managed, trying to stay calm. Emily is totally betraying me.
Last night I saw her ransack my computer, steal files, access company accounts, and she's ready to transfer 30% of my shares.
And today?
She handed me $1 million life insurance contract. I recorded it and found the forged papers. Sarah's voice cut through my panic, clear and firm. "This is serious, Michael. You need to act now. I'll get the legal papers ready to protect you." "I'm meeting you at the crumpet shop today," I said, clutching the phone. "I'm on my way," Sarah confirmed. "We're packing up your essentials and getting you out of there." Sarah arrived within the hour. She carried a suitcase, some storage boxes, and fierce determination. "What's all this?" I asked, my voice empty as I looked at the gear.
Everything you need to save yourself, Sarah stated firmly.
Company contracts, licenses, backup accounts, the video USB, anything Emily and Mark can leverage. We won't give them a chance. We worked fast, securing my crucial documents, the USB drive with the signal video from the minicam and the original contracts. I sent all the proof to Sarah. I wrote in my journal, Day 2, Emily copies files, transfers shares, contacts Mark. Day 3, recorded insurance contract, found forged transfer papers. The confrontation plan begins. What do you think I did next to confront Emily and Mark? Share your prediction in the comments. I packed the company contracts, the Seattle port licenses, and the USB stick with the signal video from the minicam. Jake, loyal to a fault, helped me organize documents and contact the police. He simply said, "You gave me a career, Michael."
Now it's my turn. 2 days later, Jake called me, his voice shaking.
Someone broke into my house. They only took one thing, your business card. An anonymous text was sent to Jake right after. Tell your unlucky friend to be careful. For the first time, I realized the consequences of this fight could extend to the people I loved. I secured my dad's old anniversary ring, my grandmother's pearl necklace, a relic that helped me through tough days in Dubai, and some emergency cash into a lockbox. Sarah tore through my study, making sure we didn't miss a single sensitive document. While Sarah worked, I was gathering the last few sentimental items. In a moment of dark comedy, I realized after 20 years of marriage, I was sneaking around my own home like a thief. I fumbled and dropped a pen, trying to jam the last few papers into the suitcase. You can be a multi-million-dollar CEO, but you'll never be James Bond, I muttered to myself, quickly picking it up in a panic. A loud clunk echoed from the kitchen. My heart jumped into my throat. Did she come home early?
I held my breath, muscles tense, listening.
It was just the refrigerator humming. We only had a few minutes left. Store the originals at my place, Sarah advised, zipping up the suitcase. I've got a secure safe. Emily and Mark won't touch them. I nodded, clinging to Sarah's fierce support like a lifeline. On the fourth day, Sarah met me at Pike Place Market. She carried notarized affidavits with the video and audio proof, warning me this was financial fraud and elder abuse, a serious felony in Washington. She explained if I died from the pills, Emily wouldn't get the insurance, but they could fake an accident to beat the law. I reported the fraud to Equifax and Experian, and the state attorney's office got involved. To find some peace, I took a cooking class for grilled salmon at Pike Place Market and went kayaking on Lake Union. With the documents secured, a fragile sense of control started to form, though the pain of Emily's betrayal still weighed heavy in my chest. We sat silently for a moment in the Madison Park house, the air thick with unspoken fears, after watching a Mariners game at T-Mobile Park. I just can't believe this is happening, I whispered, my voice breaking.
I trusted her, Sarah. I loved her. Sarah squeezed my hand, a firm, comforting grip. I know, but you are stronger than this.
We will get through this together. I hugged her tight, my eyes burning with emotion. Thank you, I said.
I don't know what I'd do without you. You don't have to do it alone, Sarah replied, her voice soft but resolute.
Now let's head to my office. The drive to Sarah's law firm downtown was a blur. My mind replayed the discoveries from the previous nights like a horrifying loop. I started a blog on Medium, rising from the shadows, answering questions from anonymous readers, finding small comfort in sharing my story. My life had shattered. My marriage was a cruel facade built on lies. Sarah's office, with its oak paneling, leather-bound law books, and the faint scent of coffee, felt like a sanctuary in the storm. "Michael, come in," Sarah said. Her sharp brown hair and keen eyes commanded authority, instantly calming me. She gestured to the leather chair across her massive desk. "Have you reviewed the documents I sent?" "Yes," I said. My voice was steadier than I expected, though my hands were shaking in my lap.
I read everything.
"I'm ready to proceed." "Good," Sarah said, her voice calm yet powerful. "Let's strategize. First, we need to freeze all company and personal accounts to prevent unauthorized access."
I've prepared the forms. She slid a stack of papers across the desk.
Each sheet was one step toward taking back my life. I signed them, my hand trembling as I realized I was cutting financial ties with the woman who was once my soulmate. Every signature was an act of defiance. Taking back control. "Next," Sarah continued, tapping her pen on the desk, "change every single password, banking, email, company systems, anything Emily or Mark might know. Use complex combinations, store them securely." I nodded, opening the password app on my phone. My fingers flew, replacing familiar passwords with random strings of characters. "Third," Sarah said, leaning forward, her voice serious, "with the plot to transfer 30% of your shares, we have to file a fraud alert with the credit bureaus. This stops any further identity theft." The prosecutor requested a preliminary investigation. On the 6th day, the Seattle police arrived to take my statement. This marked the first step of the official investigation. I wrote in my journal. Day 3, frozen accounts, changed passwords, filed fraud alerts. Day 6, assets secured, investigation started. Getting ready to face Emily and Mark. Have you ever faced the betrayer right after the truth finally surfaced? On day 7, at our anniversary party at the Madison Park house, I set up a wiretap. Hidden in a vase, it recorded Emily's signal call with Mark. They were discussing increasing the dosage and the share transfer. Jake called with intel. Mark was spotted at SeaTac with a large suitcase, ready to bolt. I listened to Sarah. Every instruction she gave was like an anchor, pulling me out of the nightmare Emily and Mark had built. "Finally," Sarah said, her eyes softening, "you should temporarily move out. Staying with someone you trust, like Jake, is the safest bet until we sort this out." "I'm going to Jake's place in Fremont tonight," I said. My voice was firm despite the chaos inside. I remembered gazing at the glittering Chihuly garden glass. Sarah nodded approval. "Smart move. I'll keep you updated. Follow these steps and stay calm. You're doing the right thing." Leaving Sarah's office, I felt a spark of self-control ignite. I'd frozen the accounts, changed the passwords, and filed the fraud alerts. Each action a brick, building my wall of protection. That evening, at Jake's cozy Fremont apartment, all mismatched chairs and shelves packed with Seattle Port models, I felt a sliver of safety for the first time. As I unpacked, my phone buzzed. It was Emily. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding before I answered. "Michael, why aren't you answering?"
Emily's voice was panicked.
There was a desperate edge I'd never heard before. "What do you want?"
I asked, my voice cold as ice.
My grip tightened on the phone.
"What's going on? Where are you?"
she demanded, her voice shrill.
"I know everything, Emily," I said, my voice sharp as steel cutting across the line.
"The lies, your plan."
"I saw it all. I know everything, the toxic pills."
"The illegal wire transfers. Even your plan with Mark to increase the dose." Emily stammered, trying to deny it. "You misunderstood."
"I was only trying to help."
Before her voice cracked with sheer panic. Emily tried to deny it. "You misunderstood."
"I was only trying to help."
Before her voice cracked with panic. "Michael, I would never hurt you." A silence stretched, heavy as the mist rolling off Elliott Bay. I exploded. My rage crashed like a rogue wave. "I know you worked with Mark, transferring my shares, stealing company documents."
"I know you were spiking my meds, love."
"You call poisoning me, stealing my company, and destroying me love?" "I'm filing charges, Emily. I'll make sure you and Mark pay the price," I declared.
I hung up. My hand was shaking, but my resolve was unshakable.
Less than 5 minutes later, Jake called, his voice frantic. "Mark just called me. He was crazy, demanding to know where you are." Looks like Emily tipped him off instantly. Turns out, Mark's shadow was always behind Emily. And then, an anonymous text hit my phone. "You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into." The fight was now truly on, and it wasn't staying within the four walls of the Madison Park house anymore. A fire blazed inside me. That night, Sarah emailed a bombshell discovery. Intercepted messages between Emily and Mark, my company partner. Sarah suspected Mark was tied to an international gambling syndicate based on the shady offshore transactions and his Macau contacts. The state prosecutor's office was stepping in, coordinating with the police for a deeper investigation. The messages were sickeningly brazen, exposing Emily's raw deception. Mark planned to drain the company funds, transfer the 30% shares, and bolt with Emily to start fresh in Spain. He mocked me as an easy target, just a pawn. Emily's demand was the ultimate reward, a Porsche in Madrid. Mark reassured her. Soon, babe, Michael's company will be ours. Those words sliced through me like knives. Betrayal and humiliation fought inside my chest. On day 8, I sent the signal video from the anniversary party, the one recording Emily and Mark's dose increase plan, to the Seattle police. Dr. Patel, who prescribed the unlabeled pill, was under investigation for taking a $50,000 kickback from Mark. The police confirmed they had opened a formal investigation.
I reread the text. Every line felt like a fresh cut until Jake gently took the phone from my hands. "You're stronger than this, man," Jake whispered, pulling me into a tight hug.
You'll get through it. I wrote in my journal, day 4, confronted Emily, Mark's texts exposed, lawsuit commenced. Day 8, dose increase plot, sent video to police, Dr. Patel investigation, justice was served. The wounds are starting to heal. But can true peace ever really exist when the shadow of an unseen enemy is still out there, just waiting for their moment? Have you ever found yourself again after losing everything?
I buried my face in Jake's shoulder.
Tears rolled down my cheeks as I grieved the life I thought was real, the love I thought was forever. Handing Emily over to the police was gut-wrenching, but I learned a brutal lesson. Trust your gut and get the right help, fast.
Underneath the pain, a flash of relief hit me. I knew the truth, and that truth was my power.
Over the next few weeks, I poured everything into rebuilding. I worked non-stop with Sarah, winning the legal battle to take back my company. And I saw justice served. Emily got 7 years in federal prison for attempted murder, financial fraud, and financial abuse. Mark was busted by Interpol in Vancouver, thanks to the offshore account trail, and faced extradition on money.
Laundering and conspiracy to murder charges. Dr. Patel had his license suspended and was
investigated for taking the $50,000 kickback from Mark for the unlabeled meds.
I restored my faith in myself and remembered my own strength.
I explored Puget Sound alone, kayaking across the shimmering water. I sketched new business ideas at coffee shops around Pike Place Market, reigniting the entrepreneurial fire that once took me to Dubai. I hiked Mount Rainier National Park, staring at the majestic peaks. I let loose at the Fremont Solstice Festival with its vibrant energy and painted the Elliott Bay sunsets, showcasing them at a small Fremont gallery. I joined a running group at Green Lake, feeling life surge back with every breath. My blog, Rising from the Shadows, blew up, hitting 10,000 shares. It inspired abuse survivors from Manila to Lagos. I reconnected with my younger brother, hosting backyard BBQs where our laughter echoed, finally resurrecting those old memories. At the Seattle Art Museum, I lost myself in the exhibits, letting the beauty soothe my damaged soul. I rebuilt my friendships, hosting dinners with my UW college crew. Their laughter was the best medicine, especially while gazing at the city from the Space Needle. Emily slowly became a bitter memory, a dark chapter I was determined to close. At the courthouse, my eyes met Emily's. Her face was haggard, etched with remorse, but I kept walking, my head held high. Right after, a threatening message popped up on my blog from Manila. Mark was just a pawn. The real player is still watching you. The FBI opened a formal investigation suspecting Mark's link to an international gambling organization. This time, I wasn't the helpless victim anymore. I proactively worked with the FBI, handing over my journal and videos to expose the co-conspirators.
A woman in Manila messaged me privately.
She said my blog saved her from an abusive relationship, revealing Mark was her ex-boyfriend. This cracked open a massive mystery about the criminal network. But unlike before, I had justice and clarity on my side. This new threat, instead of terrifying me, became the next objective for me to confront and win. I didn't look back. The future ahead was blurry, but it was mine.
Free from the shackles of betrayal.
Standing on the hill in Madison Park, I whispered, "I'm finally free." How do you think I should shape my future now? Share your predictions in the comments. I escaped the execution bed and reclaimed my life, but the price was 20 years of lost trust. If you believe no one should be alone in the darkness of deception, subscribe now. Join us to spread justice and turn this community into a shield against toxic plots. Every subscription unlocks survival stories that help you spot the red flags early. After everything, should I forgive Emily for the sake of the past love, or should justice be absolute? Comment forgive or justice right now.